Yo, parish orphans and retrogrades. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Not sipping the scissor up too early in the day today. I have a special show for you with my friend from the Red Top Report, Mr. Joseph Enders. We're going to be doing a little analysis of that video that went so viral last week, why I considered divorcing my husband of 20 years. What's up, Joseph Enders? How are you doing, bro?
What is up? Believe it or not, I think I was on the show once way back in the day. Way back in the day. I'm talking like 3-4 years ago. So it's good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back, though I don't remember you ever being on.
I don't think I went on with you. I think it was way back before that. So
okay. Well, so everyone's like, nah, we don't care. But I could have sworn I had you on one time last year. Anyway, we're over that. So there's been a ton of stuff in the waves on the net, on the web, recently, the last week, 2 weeks, of feminism is really, really evil, and feminism is way more comprehensive than anyone thought before. And yeah, the case for patriarchy is catching on, but this is inside the Catholic world and outside the Catholic world. We'll talk about a few of those pertinent issues today, but this video that we're going to be talking about went just hyper viral, and it's a terrible, horrible specimen of some dead-eyed suburbanite working wife lady, who's talking about why she nearly divorced her cuck husband. And it's a horror, representing a cautionary example, Joe, of really sort of the paradigm instance of why the MGTOW guys and the red pill guys and young guys in general don't want to get married now.
yeah. You good?
Yeah, I thought I didn't have a stroke. I thought you might want to say something.
No, I mean, I thought you were going to play the video.
You just go.
No, I thought you were going to play the video. That's funny though. No, so yeah, I mean, what we're looking at, what we're looking at today is a full-on young male assault against feminism. That's what we're seeing. It's literally become on many levels a reactionary societal response to what has been about 120 years of radicalism. And it's as simple as men playing off of their nature. It's like when you're made fun of so many times, eventually it just stops getting to you. And eventually you just start kind of leaning into it. And then as you start leaning into it, you just kind of get worse and worse and worse and worse and more. I don't mean worse in the evil sense. I mean worse is in the more and more fed up, where it's just like, you know what? Okay, I guess I'm a misogynist. That's fine. Get back in the kitchen and make me a sandwich. It literally gets to that point with men where they're so fed up with this system of maternal government, this system of no objective truth, no guidance, no discipline, no responsibility. It's frankly only going to get worse as time goes on. Yeah.
I'll give the Enders response. No, I've been thinking lately. Yeah, I've been thinking lately about that Eminem line. I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, why would I say I am? That's right. What happens in this phenomenology you're describing of young men are just pissed off, particularly young Christian men, particularly young white Christian men are like, fuck this. Like, we're out. And we're not only out of dating, which isn't the right response. You're a young guy. You have a family. I am no longer a young guy, but I'm a middle-aged guy who had a family when I was young. Once you find a good one, you realize, oh, that's not the way out. But it is tougher than it used to be to find a good one. And the point is, until those guys find one and they see, oh, it's still possible. It's a perfectly reasonable, albeit, like you said, reactionary response to be like, fine, we're out. Yeah. Like, we are whatever you say we are. And these guys are leaning into saying kind of hilarious, outrageous stuff. I won't even mention some of them because then I'll get in trouble for saying it's hilarious, about crimes and stuff online. And you have this pearl clutching, like crossed-armed Franciscan you, right, like feminist Catholic response. Like, how could
it's like we've
don't you love charity? It's one of the infused virtues, bub. And you're like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, we're over this. We're over this. And young men are angry. And STFU, it is time for the pendulum to swing back. And guess what? It's swinging back, people.
Yeah, and it's not only swinging back, it's swinging back maybe even harder than maybe you or I would like. And you know what? It's like the scene in Joker. You get what you frickin' deserve. And, you know, you just point it up. Okay, Murray, you got it here. That's what you've done. You've created an entire generation of jokers. And guess what? They're going to mess with you. They're going to make you uncomfortable. They're going to make it so difficult for you to live your life the way that you thought you were going to live it, that you're going to be forced to conform to the way that they want you to be. That's what they did in the past. And that's what's coming around. Well, what goes around comes around. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's going to be, it's really returning to the law of the jungle. It's really returning to the eye for the eye and the tooth for the tooth on this. It's not going to be merciful. It's not going to be what you wanted. So you better hope, and I mean this, you had better hope that men do decide to go on the side of Christian patriarchy. You better hope that they decide to be responsible leaders that don't use, that don't abuse, that remain faithful and loyal. Because if they don't, you know exactly what's coming down the pike, ladies, and you're going to hate it. So better find a Christian man soon. They're gonna be a hot commodity probably in about 20 years.
The law of the jungle, by which you reference a sex joke, a gender joke, not a race joke, of course, Joe. I'm clarifying for the audience. That's exactly right.
It's like the old El Paso commercials, right? Where it's like, why not both? No, I'm kidding.
Why not both? Yeah, women can pick between my buddy, Dr. Michael J. Robillard, would always say women can pick which patriarchy they want. It's the Christian patriarchy, the real one. It's Islam, or thirdly, it's the horrifying gender dysphoric, like men running around in dresses patriarch, you know, the patriarchy. The one that's really, really beneficial to women, and our Lord christened, no pun intended, was the Christian patriarchy. So you're exactly right. They better hope it's the patriarchy. But I want people out there to really hear your opening comment, really let it sink in, that this has been 175 years. Your grandparents, folks, were all feminists. My 90-year-old grandma told me 9 or 10 years ago, she literally told me, like, I could be your boss. I would, you know, you'd have liked me as a boss. So I was saying, no, I don't want any female boss. It's kind of natural. And she said, no, the whole family, you know, at this one dinner table conversation, my little brother wasn't there, that he would have been on my side, but everyone else in the family like turned on me. I was like, no, I'm sick of female bosses. I got a female boss. If I go to teach at a school, I got a female boss. If I go into a landman department, I was a landman and all the landmen were women. The female boss, if you go to a lot of law offices now, I don't want that. And my literally 90-year-old grandma was like, I was a great boss. So people have been lied to when they say, oh yeah, feminism, it's this thing for the last generation or two. It's been the last 175 years. And like you said, Joe, the pendulum is swinging back. I mean, I'm not saying anything you didn't say. I just it bears repeating. I want to say it again. Yeah. It's swinging back, and it's swinging back so hard that it's like, clear the lane, ladies. Ladies are so used to being able to talk a little ish and then stand out of the way. And most of the white knights out there won't throw any back at them, any shade. And whatever small amount of shade comes back at them, they just kind of cry out after they strike someone. It's a very female thing in the post-feminist world. And that's not working anymore. The young men are coming with this crazy incel joker energy at the Karens. And so that's why I thought it would be really fun today. You know, you're a younger guy, young married guy.
I just want to build on something that you just said, just because it was like perfect. Women are learning, and this is good because I love tough love. I'm a dad. I love tough love. That's my favorite kind. And like I revel in the fact that I'm able to facilitate tough love on people. That would include a woman or a man. But in this case with women, we are exposing them to a form of tough love and a reality about their being and a reality about their existence. And it's that every single thing that they do is done with the permission of the men protecting them. They can do nothing. They have no agency to step outside of their front door, if not with the permission of men. There is nothing they can do like that. And that is something about the nature of women that has been so ignored in society. It has been so taken for granted that the second that there's even some people saying some mean words online, like you were just saying, has got them going into a conniption. It's a standard that's slowly revealing itself. When the men don't care anymore and they don't care about protecting you anymore, you welcome to the jungle. There you go, another jungle reference, right? So
it's so many jungle references. And again, make it a sex and a race joke next time. You keep only restricting it to sex. That's a great. I think that's the main idea, Joe. Yeah. And I'm like the author of the case for patriarchy. And I think that what you just said is the main idea. Sometimes I've neglected that point. And I've heard Chase, Sovereign Bra make it really nicely. I've heard you say it before, usually in private conversation. I've heard some other people in the manosphere make it. And it's one that, because I'm trying to mind the P's and the Q's of just demonstrating that the patriarchy is truly Christian. It's what's required, both clerically and in the laity. And then I'll make jokes besides, but I forget that point. Anything a woman is doing, stepping outside to go get her mail, is by the permission of a man. Yeah. And it's a de facto truth that can be, you don't want it tested, but women are small and weak, and they're dependent. They're little women, as I said in the last couple streams. That's a virtue for women. They're not supposed to be strong and independent. These ostensible virtues that have been psyoped onto the kind of brain mapping of women. Oh, this is what I should aspire for. It's nonsense. So that's the point. And they've, as such, it's kind of like Hegel's master-slave dialectic in the phenomenology of Geist. They are the ones that are, women have been on top in society over the last several generations.
Quasi, but yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
Because men have been psyoped into letting them be, but that's part of the master-slave dialectic. And normally in the master-slave dialectic, there's a duel to the death between A and B. A prevails, B gets subjugated, thrown under, and made the slave of A. And Hegel says through physical manual labor, over an extended course of time, B and or his descendants become physically strong. A becomes flabby. His victory defeats him. B re-challenges A and becomes the master. Now, of course, Hegelianism is by and large bullshit, but this is one of the aspects that's most fascinated people, particularly those like Alexander Kojev and the left Hegelians who got off here. It doesn't work perfectly with women because they're always weak. They never won any duel against men. But they used what Nietzsche calls dissimulation. A very Jewish spirit, Nietzsche says the Jews use dissimulation to say, you might be bigger than me, stronger than me. You can dominate me physically, Roman Empire or Babylonian Empire or whatever it is, Persia, Greece, Rome, whatever it is. But ought you to? And that's the kind of Nietzschean dissimulative master-slave dialectic that feminism used, with lots of tricks from those subversive forces that I've mentioned. And in that case, it becomes master-slave dialectic. And this is that inflection point in the dialectic when young, crazy, strong-minded men who are sick of taking it are just like, I'm just going to make crazy jokes online that even you and I might blush about. And that takes quite a bit. And I think it's people are like looking at me, women are like looking at me now with their arms full, like, are you going to condemn this? Are you going to condemn this? It's like, look, man, I mean, they're saying mainly what I've been saying or you've been saying, Joe, maybe a little bit stronger, maybe with a little more tinge of red pill or MGTOW Joker energy. But no, I'm not. This is nature taking its course. This is the pendulum coming back. And anyone who doesn't agree with what I'm saying or what Joe's saying, let's play this video by this crazy, we'll just call her an e-girl. Thought. Why I considered divorcing my husband of almost 20 years. And you're going to, a little bit, anyone listening to it, even Christians, are going to start hating women a little bit.
Can we get a hashtag in chat for that? No.
What? What'd you say?
Can we get a hashtag in chat from all the viewers right now for a hashtag I hate women? No. I'm not trying to get you guys banned. I promise.
Don't hashtag that. That's you guys just to chortle at, like, oh Tim, what a devil,
you silly goose.
All right,
it's
so
your fault for inviting me on. Sorry, it's just.
Yeah. So are you ready to listen to this? We don't have the video. Her shirt, her pants are pulled up really high. She's standing at her kitchen sink. She's got a funny thing happening with the way her pants are tucked in. Her shirt's tucked into her pants. That's all you're really missing. And this is just an annoying ass lady. And here's what she says. We don't have the video for you, but here's the audio.
My husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce. And I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women. I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men and we have amazing relationships, and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And that is exactly.
Oh, wait, pause there.
It's like, dude, the reaction, it was just like, you see the video of the Taliban when they asked if women would be allowed to like get educated or run for. I just felt like that guy for a second there.
I feel like that guy all day long. So she's burnt out. This crazy thought is burnt out for 2 reasons. 1, because she's working, and 2, because her husband is a beta cuck and she's not sexually attracted to him because he gives her everything she wants. He doesn't say no. No is like an aphrodisiac, veritably, for women, because it reinforces the hierarchy, the power structure, which they're attracted to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But 1, she's just burnt out because she's a very part-time mother and a very part-time wife. She's doing a shitty job, and she's at work doing a shitty job there. So you can do one thing well, or you can do 2 things badly. She's doing that, and she's burnt out like all the other crazy-eyed feminist women in the suburbs. But secondly, she's not attracted to her man, and this is a pathetic, lowly existence. 2 things are burning her out. What do you say?
Well,
besides, give me something other than
no. What we have here is a woman who knows deep down in her heart that her husband doesn't truly love her. And this is a conversation that I would have with everybody that I had ever dated in the past. Before I met my wife, before I got married. I even had this conversation with my wife. I had it with every woman that I dated. I would tell them this. I was like,
love her?
Yeah. No, I said, I would, the dichotomy is very simple. Do you want me as a husband to validate and support you, which is the vast majority of dating advice that a lot of, life coaches will give people these days. You should validate your wife. You should support her in her interests and her hobbies and all the, the visible sighing is real. But they'll ask all these things. I was like, do you want me to validate and support you as a husband, or do you want me to actually love you? That's the question. That is the actual question that goes there. And what this woman is realizing, that the validation and support lifestyle that she was sold, that she was told would give her a good marriage, is actually the exact opposite thing. It's actually the thing that's destroying her marriage. It's hollowing it out from the core. Because 1, like you said, it removes the aphrodisiac. And 2, there is literally zero expression from her husband that shows that he actually cares about her well-being, her virtue, her growth as a person, her cultivation as a nurturer, a mother, a carer of the home, all these very noble things that a wife is responsible for. She gets none of the joy from that because she'll walk home and all she'll get from her husband is, oh yeah, you do that. You go, girl, boss babe. Yes, queen, slay. That's what we get. That's the problem. That's why these marriages are all so hollow these days, because they're based on validation and support. They're not based on tough love and real love, which is willing the good of another person, as you know.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Let me play the next minute of this. Do you have anything, Stevie?
Oh, it's just awful.
Awful. All right.
Awful woman.
Here's the second minute. We're just taking it. It's 5 minutes. We're taking 1 minute at a time.
Happened to us. About 3 months after my fourth baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night, when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day, when you drop off the kids at daycare,
we cook dinner.
Ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of the.
She needs more. Sorry, I'll let it go. She needs more. But when we cook dinner, or when we are like getting the kids' backpacks together, she wants him to say no. She's crying out for him to say no. Or are you going to say something, Stevie?
Yeah, I was just going to make a very brief point that we have defunct females like in droves on the internet, basically just using the internet as their diary to let us know how defective they are. This woman has no clue on how to be a woman on every aspect. It's mothering, wifeliness, even how she's just going, her whole demeanor. It's just so unfeminine. She has absolutely no clue how to be a woman, and yet she's out here complaining about her husband.
And how androgynous her husband is. Remember, like the Ken dolls, my friends who had sisters had Barbie and Ken dolls. Ken dolls, we'd always like destroy like Barbie and Ken dolls. Or actually, it was my buddy Ryan would always throw his little sister's like Ken doll in the fan, and one time it like ripped the pants off. And what she's finding, it was tremendous odds. What she's finding is what we found on the Ken doll. You go there and it looks like a bona fide crotch, but husbands like this out in the suburbs, it's just it's like a little fleshy patch on a Ken doll or a man doll. This is a man. These guys are man dolls that are made to look like men, but they're not men. You're not a man, as it's said there. So it's a little fleshy nub, and it's not. That's why they don't say no ever. They don't have the life-affirming force of saying no that Joe is talking about. Testicular fortitude. No, they have nub. There's no fortitude that comes from a fleshy nub.
Yep.
That's something only a real man can do, is say, no, we're not going to be doing that. And I'm not saying it to be mean. Why would you even bring that up? I'm saying it because it's stupid. I'm saying it because it's dangerous. I'm saying it because it's worthless or futile. I'm saying it because it confuses the offices. I'm saying, well, whatever. You can give a little justification, but here I'm saying no. And so she's saying, I want more. She doesn't even know it. She's saying, I want a man, like a real man that doesn't just have a little fleshy patch there. I want a man that says, you make the kids' backpacks. I'm not going to even do 30%. You make dinner. What are you, a woman or are you a dude? You make the dinner. You make it. I will enjoy it. I will tell you it's tasty. I'll give you a kiss on the forehead. I'll say thank you. I'll be kind to you. You do it. That's what she means when she says more. She doesn't even know it.
Home, and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do.
Oh,
right. Every woman has heard this. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I said, okay. You know, something that would make my life easier. Was it in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. That would make my life so much easier, because when I've got the 4 kids running around and the baby crying, I can't be looking for their favorite water bottle in the dishwasher. I just need to know it's clean. And he said, yeah, of course. What? Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets. And then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning.
I don't want to hear about the one morning yet. I want to hear from Joe. What do you think? So she says, I need you to do more. She wanted a real man. And instead of like growing a pair, he cut off the little amount of fleshy nubbin that he had there, the little amount. And he went even further into what no woman's attracted to. What do you want me to do? You're the leader.
Oh my gosh. It's the worst. It's the worst way that you could possibly be. The fact that the husband's response wasn't, you know, I'm going to now require more of you than you were asking for. Not only now if there was something I'm helping you out with, I'm now no longer helping you out with that. Second of all, how about you go outside and you mow the lawn? How about you go outside and you know, you make sure everything's trimmed, you clean out the gutters, you know, you put a new roof on the house. You do all of these things yourself.
You do the wood chopping.
Yeah, you do the wood chopping. Go out there with an axe and chop up the wood. And you know, if you ever need the fridge moved or something, do it yourself. And that's essentially what it has to be. You need to know your place. You need to know that the reason that you could safely, like we were talking about earlier, move about society is under my authority. That's why you're able to do that. Because, you know, and it was like Steph was saying earlier, marriage is not a power struggle. That's exactly what feminism intends to make it. That's why the divorce rate was so high as it took root in the country. And that's why female unhappiness rose with it. Because what they did was they turned something sacred, they turned something happy, they abstracted it into meaning something different than it actually was. And what it actually is a partnership. It is a union, but it is one that is structured in a hierarchy with the man on top, and the woman serves the needs of the man, and in serving the needs of the man, she is serving God, while the man himself is responsible for serving God solely. That's the structure. That's how this family unit, the first cell of civilization, is supposed to operate. And what was done, and you know this as well as anybody else, in the first wave feminist movement, even with something like the right to vote, even with something as simple as that, the entire purpose of that was to say that the woman is an autonomous unit within her household and not a part of it. So when you have that, when you break apart the household using the vote, that's like step one. And you know, this woman is now at the tail end of all of that cascading power struggle, to the point at which she wishes there was a power struggle at this point, because now there just isn't. Her husband just rolls over, and that's the penultimate end of feminism, where women are truly living devastating, bleak, loveless lives. And I would not wish that on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't.
That's too much good stuff. And I hate saying that because you're a doucher, but that's just beautiful. That's great stuff, man. Yeah. This is why, actually, the truth be told, I'm like, there's no one else that gets this about feminism, besides Joe. That's why I wanted to do a video.
The only other one. There's no one else on the planet.
No one else hates it as much as we do. And that by that, I'm conferring a real honor. No, that's good stuff. And
much appreciated.
I hate saying it. You're a good guy, and your analysis is good.
You might hate saying it, but I love hearing it.
A gentleman and a scholar, Joe Enders.
Okay, minute 3 from this crate. Man, just seeing her, the stupid expression on her face, and she's pointing at her counter, it makes me.
She's standing in the very kitchen that her husband is providing for her, complaining about him. The amount of sand that takes to behave like a brat in the kitchen that your husband's providing for you is unbelievable.
That's true. And it takes a lot of sand, like you said, and a lack of irony that's profound. But I guess she's kind of providing it for herself. That's why things get so gender dysphoric, because you can't even guilt trip her that way. She's like, maybe she earns more than this cuck.
She's probably paying for the childcare alone. Like, her salary is probably going only to that. True. You know, that just gets wasted.
In many ways, as a matter of pride, which might be marginally sinful, I would almost rather be homeless than hand the breadwinning over to my wife. I'm not kidding. That's my prideful feeling inside of me. Now, obviously, maybe that's not the right decision, but that is the initial feeling. That should be the atavistic reaction of the male to the prospect of his wife having material leverage over you. You become complacent. What you're doing is saying, you know, and this is why when people ask me, like, well, what about single mothers, or what about fathers who get disabled at work, or whatever, blah, blah. You think of the umpteenth exception that they try to bring up, where, you know, it's the same thing that they do with abortion, where, you know, the woman was a 10-year-old or a girl that was raped at 10 years old by her father, or some crazy story that never happens. So let's say these things happen. Why don't we have the attitude that this is a tragedy? Like, why are we saying, oh, let's make it all good? You go, girl. You're a boss, baby. No, it's like, no, I'm sorry that the sinful world, ma'am, has failed you. It has failed you. If the church hasn't helped you, if anybody on the ladder of Catholic subsidiarity, which is I call it the hierarchy of help, if every metric of that ladder has failed you and gotten you to the point where you have to just leave your kids at home alone, without emotional support, without somebody to run to, without somebody to nurture them, that is tragedy. That is something that a Greek poet would write about. It's so bad. And that's kind of the viewpoint that I think is missing now, because people have been, for, like you said, the past 180 years, you know, been conditioned to believe that it's not a tragedy, and in fact, it's a liberation.
Atavism notwithstanding, you know, a great point you're making. Most people don't know Walter Kaufman's definition of what tragedy is, what tragedia is. It's when a character is caught between the natural law and the positive law of his time. That's precisely what this is. It's absolutely tragic. You're caught between the natural law and the positive law of your time. And you're saying this stuff quite well. I'd rather be homeless than to send my wife out, right, to work, to share in the curse of Adam. It's hard on her. Pius XII says it strips her of her dignity. It makes her think she's a man. She reigns queen at home, even if it's a small home. It can be small and lovely. And she's literally falling. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy. She's falling from being regal. Every woman, this sounds kind of gay and simpy, but it's actually not. Every woman who stays at home and serves her husband reigns as a kind of queen. And that comes directly from Pius XII. Not simpy, because her husband's in charge, and he's not a chess queen, but like a queen in the sense of being subordinate to the husband.
But meanwhile, you know, forget about chess queens. Wives today are like drag queens. You know, it's like they're putting on the male demeanor. They're putting on the masculine. The masculine goggles, and trying to view the world through it. Women can't comprehend the male world the way that the masculine mind does. And the church talks about this. There's the feminine genius and there's the masculine genius. You know, and thinking about things from that perspective, when you do force a woman out of her element, what you're telling her to do is to discover something that doesn't really belong to her. It's almost a form of theft of identity. So when they say it's stripping you of human dignity, you know, it's because you're a woman who's been denied her womanliness. You're a woman who's been denied your femininity. And when we broaden this out to the case of feminism, to the case of this wife, they get so frazzled. You know, you think about the meme of the dog in a burning house saying, "This is fine. This is fine." And they just and the only thing that women are conditioned to believe is the only way that we can fix this is if I throw more gas on the fire. And it's like any woman that willingly does this, it's like you don't deserve the title of too naive and too brainwashed to be accountable. I'm sorry. If you want to live in this world, if you want to live in the world of your own making that you've been promoting your whole lives, that you got together with all your gal pals, became a, giant voting block, started having your stupid feminist book club or whatever nonsense they're doing and coming up with these terrible ideas. They come out, you as a voting bloc have chosen this lifestyle. I'm sorry, but if you expect young men to come out and have sympathy for you and to come and sweep you off your feet and save you from yourself, you're dead wrong. If you don't want to be submissive, if you don't want to be an integral part of a household unit, a marriage, a family, If you don't want that and you actively push against it, guess what? We're not going to treat you as an unaccountable little sweet princess. You're going to be viewed as a man coming up against a man because you have chosen manhood.
Precisely. It's a little bit like, I don't know if this is too on the nose. You don't, if you take on, if two men are spatting semi-publicly or publicly, there's an agreement that hails from most of human history. Like, we're not going to take on the wives. We're not going to bring in the wives and kids into this. But if the wife is getting up in your grill and slapping you in the face or threatening to slap you in the face, spitting on you, then it's fair game, because the woman abandoned her domestic role where she is private and where honor requires the man to acknowledge, even the rival to acknowledge her. Well, she stayed in her place. I'm not going to bring her wife, this guy's wife, into it. He's not going to bring mine into it. But if she gets up, if she's dysphoric enough to get in your face, then it's not bringing her into it. This has become strangely more relevant the last couple of weeks. But one point you made is that women are trying to see the world through men's eyes. In this perfect act of gender bending, men, Fuentes always says this, men are being thereby relegated to trying to see the world through women's eyes. They're like, someone has to sing the female perspective, sing that swan song. So it's going to be the men now, because the women undertook all of your jobs. All right, let me play third minute.
Where I woke up and I went to put something in the trash and it was overflowing.
The horror.
And I went to get my son's water bottle and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me, because what he's done has now.
First off, don't take the Lord's name in vain. What the fuck does seeing me mean? What does that mean? Did you see your ridiculous shirt tucked into?
Is this like Avatar or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I don't get it.
Why aren't you making Sahelu with me? What is this?
She's using a parlance that I guess annoying, pushy, gender dysphoric, grating, whining bitches out in the suburbs use. And she's using this, he doesn't see me. And then she's saying to all the young dudes that are seeing you on the internet, because this went very viral, miss, you can't have your parlance. You don't get to say your things about, you don't get to speak in your little codified lexicon, your little person-specific codified lexicon. The I know it's dumb to talk about double standards because that's all they do. And they want us to just live with the double standards, but it's ridiculous. Like, he doesn't see me, or what will they say? These other crazy ladies out in the suburbs.
I don't feel heard.
I don't feel heard. I don't feel seen. My kid was melting down. All the annoying ladies I've ever heard whining to or about their husbands in the suburbs speak in kind of code, and then they're mad that young men have woken up and are speaking in hilarious code about them.
Well, and but before you start it, just quickly, it's amazing. Women are so good at getting whatever they want now.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's because women have been introduced to the workforce, by the way. They've been introduced to the workforce, and because they cannot intimidate. Women cannot intimidate. You can't intimidate. I've never been intimidated by a woman in my life. Maybe my mother when I was a child. But when you look at that, because they are incapable of being intimidating in the workplace, what do they have to turn to? Well, they're forced to turn to manipulation. They're forced to turn to deceit, to sin. I mean, literally to sin. They're literally forced to turn to sin to get the upper hand over the men that clearly have the edge in intimidation. And the other thing that they use, and this is what the feminists write about, and actually say that this is the penultimate tactic that you can use, and that's sex, which goes to the promiscuity angle of first wave feminism, which they also supported. And increasing that all across the globe if they could. So when we take all of this together, this wife is just, she's She's completely delusional on who she is, what place she has in the world. I don't know. It's just,
yeah.
Tim.
I'll say this too. All these tasks that she's talking about, a literal ape can do all of those things. So like complaining about just regular house chores, like grow up. I'm so sick of hearing women complain about tasks apes can do. Just grow up, do your chores, and be a woman.
And do them with love. That's what makes a house a home, is whether or not the task is done with love. When a woman, because I mean, probably even this broad makes her husband dinner half the time or something.
She's proud of that too, by the way.
She's proud of it, but she doesn't get even half credit. I don't give half credit. You either do it with love, or you get no. It's all or none when it comes to earning the credit of a man. You do it with love, you get all the credit, even if it's not a great dish. Steph tries a new recipe or something, and she does it lovingly, which is very typical. Then it's like I give you all the credit. I don't care that much about the food. What I love is you're calling it the feminine genius, whatever. I just call that what a woman brings to the equation and makes everyone, husband and kids, feel great about. Makes the house a home, even if the recipe didn't work, if she does it with love. But this lady, I don't care if I doubt she's a good cook. None of these broads are. But even if the half of the, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when she's cooking, it's kind of tasty, you still don't get credit in my book, sweetheart. It's got to be done with love. That's the mark of a woman.
Yeah.
The man's the head, the woman's the heart of the home. And if you don't do it with heart, you don't even get the credit. Here she is again. Get ready.
Me late for work. And he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the impact on me. And he doesn't see every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it. The diaper bag is full because I filled it, right? I put the wipes in there. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone. And it's not because my husband didn't love me or he did anything to me. And it's not because I didn't love him, but because I felt so taken advantage of in our relationship. And this dynamic, it doesn't happen by accident, right? It's not like my husband did it to me, but we've been raised in this society that tells men and women who they should be in marriages and what it looks like to be a good mom versus a good dad. And we know the bar for moms is way up here and the bar for dads is way down here. And into these
if people out there are atavistic and a bit violent, then something's wrong with you. Get your testosterone checked.
What? Did she just say that the bar for moms is so high, but it's so low for dads? Holy God. What? That is so far from the truth.
Yeah, it's a lie. It's just a lie. And it's a calumny. It's a damnable lie. And as we roll toward Mother's Day, look, everyone's got a mother they love. I can say this. Mother's Day is, if men are being honest, around this country, the worst day of the year. People are living in fear. You're saying women can't intimidate, Joe? They can't physically intimidate. They use dissimulative intimidation. And Mother's Day, you have these cucks, this guy, whatever this Mrs. Homemaker feminist extraordinaire's husband's name is. He is already preparing his fetid, groveling Mother's Day for this lady who doesn't deserve it. And that's how all of these guys are out in the burbs. Their wives are terrible, terrible people. I mean, not all of them, 98% of them. And yet the guys tell them they're excellent, and they get slapped in the face, and it's, thank you, ma'am. Can I have another? And they're just going to be telling them, Mother's Day is like the third most important holiday on the calendar year. I can't stand it. We're coming up to that time of the year. And I have
I mean, and I think this is a great opportunity, husbands, if you do have like a manipulative, deceitful, overbearing wife, make sure you forget Mother's Day this year. Make sure you forget Mother's Day this year. Let her know that you'll get a Mother's Day when you decide to actually be a mother and a wife. Let's
reap is what you sow. Yeah. Amen.
That's justice. And again, like if you're a Catholic or you're a Christian watching this, you have to think about the necessity of justice, especially in the household. And any way that you can facilitate it, as long as it's moral, I highly recommend employing that, because you do need to teach your wife, and how you teach your wife depends on how she receives correction, how she receives the information that you're giving. If it's in a spirit of disrespect, if it's in a spirit of demoting you below your divinely given role in the household, you have to put the hammer down. You have to respond in due time, because what is she doing? She's challenging you. She's saying that you don't have this authority, I have this authority, and you need to smack that down immediately. It needs to be firm. It needs to be meaningful. It needs to be strong. But when it's, and then on the flip side, if it's sincere, if it's from a place of love, if it's from a place of desire for growth, well, then it's obviously handled much differently. And that literally is the difference between an abusive husband and a responsible patriarch. It's not about aggressiveness at all. It's not.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. What do you think of what Joe just said, Steffi? It's not about the aggressive. I mean, everyone caricatures the bad husbands as being too aggressive. It's that they're too passive now.
Yeah, I don't believe you hear that a lot from women. They're like, what about the tyrannical husband? Like, go pound sand. I don't really see that very often. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's such a minute number. What we have really in droves, and what we have a big problem with, is husbands who are so afraid of their wives that they do not lead them. And I'll say this, I hate saying things as a woman, that's so gay, but really as a woman, I actually enjoy when you lead me. I need to grow in virtue. I'm a convert to the faith, and I thank the Lord that I have a husband who cares enough for me and for my soul to sit me down every now and again and say, you need to grow in virtue in these specific ways. Without you in my life, I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't have that objective patriarch point of view to tell me, like, I want you to have heaven. I want you to enjoy God's mercy and grace at the end of your life. And I need you to grow in these ways. I think most women, I would say, who have a very strong leader, I appreciate that in you. And I love that about you. And women like this clearly have never been told no in their lives.
Yeah, they don't have a husband who actually loves them.
No.
All right,
and Tim, to summarize everything she just said in a simple phrase, you know what she just asked? She's like, tell me you love me.
Right. Show me, tell me. Yeah.
Tell me you love me. That's all that is. That's all that is. And my wife's the same way. It's just how it's just how the wife has to be. She has to be receptive. If there's no receipt of correction, there's no growth. There's no personal benefit on her end. And if she thinks that her greatness is something outside of the greatness of her husband, then she's sorely mistaken.
Okay. Did everyone hear what he just said? The two things. There is no other way that marriage works. The Christian Christ elevated marriage to a sacrament, to the dignity of a sacrament at Cana. And there's no other way it can work unless a woman is receptive, A, and B, if she only views her own success, or Joe called it greatness, as the helper in facilitating her husband's greatness. And those are like, I've never parsed it that way before, but those are the two things. It cannot be a good, happy marriage. That's men out there listening, right?
That is exactly right.
And men who are, maybe closer to Joe's age, that are like, can I get a good wife? They are out there. You have to look.
It is hard though. I feel for the guys out there. But it's true. They're out there. You got to look for them. And most importantly, I've gone pretty hard on the women. Let me go a little bit hard on the men real quick. It's like, dude, bathe yourself. Make yourself presentable. Like don't wear ridiculous looking tweed suits all the time. Don't walk around smoking on your pipe all the time. Don't be like that, man. No, girls don't like that thing. Get yourself a pair of freaking chinos, buy yourself a black t-shirt, put on a gold chain with anything on it. It can be a cross, it can be a saint, it can be anything. But for goodness sakes, stop looking like a nerd, dude. Yeah. Women don't want to date people like that. And you know what? It is largely a mentality thing. Get your hair cut. Make sure that you're prepared. Make sure that you're ready for the dating scene. If you just go in and nobody's going to want to date you.
Yeah.
I can't get over that enough. And I raise my voice because I think it might work. You might actually listen. You might actually hear me out on this and do something that benefits you. But frankly, that you got to do that, but you got to do it for the right woman. So
should we do the applause again? There you go. I don't know if you can hear it, but
it's true. Women did not love Fraser and Niles, and so many of the Catholic guys out there have been misinformed that they should wear like 3-piece suits around their condo. That doesn't look dope. I mean, if you're really, really, really fit, then it doesn't matter whether you wear a 3-piece suit or a black t-shirt. You'll look good in anything, right? Being super fit is a shortcut to anything looks formal enough. Anything looks kind of ready to go out in. But if you're just a normal dude, try to lift weights, try to keep up, and like a black t-shirt will look better on you, particularly around the house, than a 3-piece suit, particularly if you incline toward the nerdy, which most Catholic guys do by virtue of things are out of their control. You've got
the male spaces are just infected with nerdism. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else to say. It's like every Catholic space is rooted around like, philosophy groups. They're not really geared around, truly masculine activities with the exception, believe it or not. And you might disagree with me, but gaming. Gaming is kind of a masculine space. A lot of times you're going around killing, fighting, conquering, doing things like that. So even though it is a simulation, it's still masculine in nature.
Of course.
We love games.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah,
reading clubs, not so much. That's something women can do too.
I don't even have a problem with. I love the gaming. I love the hunting. I love the stuff that some of the fat old boomers in like Knights of Columbus will talk about it. As if like, oh, let's go hunt. And there are a lot of good guys in Knights of Columbus, but it's mainly just a dorky kind of feminized boomer space, guys getting time away from the old ball and chain. It's the way that you do this stuff. Like if you game in a manly way, if you're going to go hunt in a manly way, if you're going to do a lifting club at your church, don't do it in a gay, vain, semi-girl way. I mean, just style matters, and Catholic men have either never been told that or they forgot it a very long, long time ago. So that's I think the point. Look, we have another minute and 40 seconds. I'm just gonna let it play. Oof. So store away, because I don't want to break it up into more. I can't take much more of this broad.
I'm with you.
Roles in our family, despite the fact that we never wanted to. And I'm lucky, and I say lucky because I have a partner who I know loves me and wants me to be happy and was willing and able to change. And so we did the work to figure out what equity looked like in our relationship. And I can tell you now, 3 years later, that we are happier than ever. Our kids are thriving. Our home runs like a well-oiled machine. And that took a lot of work. I want to say it took like 18 months to get there, and it was well worth it. But it is not uncommon. And so if your wife is coming to you and she's saying, I'm burnt out by the mental load and I need you to do more, she's not just saying that because she wants you to do more chores. She's saying that because truly it can hurt your relationship. It can ruin your marriage if you do not participate in an equitable way in your home. And so what does that look like? What does it look like to change these dynamics? Well, we need to really assess in our homes what the work looks like. Because in most homes, the data supports this, women do a disproportionate amount of the work. They just do.
It's called being a woman.
It's called being a woman.
In the laundry and the childcare, while also working full time. And men have more time for things like their hobbies, like golf, for example, or just working out, running a marathon, right? And so we need to have hard conversations about what our time looks like, what our labor in the home looks like, what is invisible labor. We have to talk about these things. And when we don't, the alternative is that you no longer have a marriage, or you don't have a happy one at least. And so I share this story because I don't think I'm alone in this experience. And I want people to know that there's hope, and that if you have a willing and able partner, you can change this. You can absolutely change this dynamic.
I almost want to pray that.
I know it's that bad.
It's that bad.
Let us pray.
Yeah, dude, it like seriously, that video almost made me a boomer Catholic. Let us pray for this woman. We want her to be in a better state spiritually. I can't take it. I can't take it. That woman is so delusional. She has no idea why she's drained. Let me put it in layman's terms, because we know there's mostly men watching this show, so the men can understand what she's actually trying to say. How many of you guys have worked, a real job? I've worked jobs where I was a furniture mover, where I would be lifting pianos, safes, couches, dressers that are filled, by the way, up and down stairs for 16 hours a day. I would come home and my knees would be like shaking like this, and I just sit down and my knees just give out, and I just fall on the couch at the end of the day. That's the type of work that I would do. And guess what? I was never exhausted. I loved what I was doing because I was providing. That makes me feel good. It doesn't make me feel bad. It makes me feel good. The problem is that woman, like you said, has sucked the love out of everything she does in her household. And she thinks that the only thing that's going to stop her burnout is having less to do. No, in fact, having more to do would probably help you more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. But to be fair, though, which I'd never thought I'd say about this one, to be fair, more to do around the home, all the chores, all the little kid child rearing, until the baby's 2 or whatever. But this guy's pimped his wife out. He's pimped her out to the workplace. And so she shouldn't have to do both. She's burnt out because she's trying to do 2 things, and you can't serve 2 masters.
That's true.
And so she should do all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the beautifying of the home space, all the gardening. And guess what? When you do that without a job, so how many novels did you read in the month of January, Steph? I was going to make a tweet about this.
I think 8. I
think it was 9. You read 9 novels in the month of January because it was cold outside. I hadn't really gone back to doing shows as much as I had been. So there's less to do, but we're still going back to homeschooling. You always keep a clean house. But the truth of the matter is, being a homemaker is not a job. That's Puritan misinformation. It's a vocation, and it's a vocation that is not structured around the Puritan 40-hour work week. That's not what it is. Get your stuff done in the late morning, early afternoon, and then women who are not working a job on top of being a homemaker have the time for the hobbies. And I love that. The hobbies of beautifying, gardening, journaling, reading, writing. Steph plays the flute. Take a nap, anything. Write a novel, a children's novel, whatever it is. There's plenty of time. So the one thing she's not getting is you shouldn't be in the workplace. It's the key piece. And the other thing she's not getting is,
do we know if she's working full time or part time, or like what the thing is? I'm just curious.
Sounded full time because she's leaving in the morning, and the kids go to day whatever. I mean,
with their water bottles.
Daycare.
Yeah, with the water. What is with the water bottles?
I don't know. That's a thing.
Is that some suburbs women? The suburbs are run by women, and there's weird leitmotifs that just pop up. Like, we don't really hang out. We don't hang out with any women like this, but you will get wind of it. Like it's from the same department as the play date. There will be a play date, and then all the little weird mollycoddled kids, mama's boys, all have water bottles and shit like that. It's like, what? Don't you just go get a drink?
We used to drink out of the hose.
Go drink out of the hose. It doesn't have to be the fire hose, or just get a drink of milk like a regular human being out of the carton. What's with the water bottles for her nerdy, gender dysphoric little kid? Look, I hope this kid turns out all right, but he's not going to make it. The 4 kids aren't going to make it. Their dad's a cuck and acts like a girl. Their mom is a hideous little tin pot dictator who thinks she's a man. You can't have this model. Freud got enough right to say this just absolutely wrecks the psyche of a young person, and that's when you're most impressionable. So I'll say this. Imagine a woman that goes on the internet, destroys her husband's reputation, and then turns tail and pretends she's the victim. I mean, she willingly did this. She made this video, right? And I know you guys might think I'm talking about someone else in the Catholic domain, because that's been all. And there's a little update on that story, the Laura Horn story. She penned a response. I guess I wanted to hear from the people, maybe hear Steph, maybe hear Joe's take on it. I don't want to do a whole thing on it, but imagine the gall, the brass it takes. It's this vice that's been inculcated as a virtue in women because of feminism to cry out after they strike you, and you just are like, you had to do it. Steph knows, she's the one producing the show. Like, it takes a lot. There's plenty of minutes when you're posting a video on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, where you could be like, was this prudent? Did I just defame the living shit out of my husband? Does he look like a cuck now? She had an hour to 2 hours to cool down and be like, I should not put this on the internet. And she did. And then she got a lot of hate for it. And now she can't believe how much hate she got for it, because men have turned. We've crossed the Rubicon, right, Joe?
Yeah, it's the I mean, and I don't know if you read her response. I read through the whole thing that she.
Oh, you're talking Laura. You're just jumping to the Laura thing.
Oh, is that what I thought that was what you were bringing up?
I was running. No, that's fine.
It's kind of running. The two points
arrow.
are literally identical. To be honest with you, it's an identical situation to me, because it's literally about you allowing your wife to defame you. And again, like, her agency is under the permission of the husband. So it's like your ability to go out and go not only online, but on a podcast in front of, a bunch of other Catholics, a bunch of people that he directly reaches out to, people that he is directly associated with, that everybody's going to go out and see. And for you, Laura Horn, yes, I'm talking about you, to go on there, and it sounds like it wasn't anything serious, but for you to even bring it up on that show was an act. It was an act of incredible imprudence on your part. It was an act of such disrespect. You humiliated him. You humiliated your husband. And the fact that you thought that you could do that is something Nick Fuentes was talking about. I fully agree with them on the fact that the fact that you didn't come home to him red in the face, ready to punch a hole in the wall. Yeah, if that wasn't the immediate thought after you said that, you have a very, very problematic relationship with your husband.
And bear in mind that they're going around claiming that they're the exemplars. I mean, imagine this.
Yeah, that's the problem. I wouldn't even talk about this if it was just some like private gossipy nonsense, but they are. They're coming forward and trying to say that they have the model Catholic relationship of husband and wife, and they simply do not. Simply do not. Imagine a woman, put yourself in my shoes for just a second. Imagine a woman, some dude's wife, some dude you've debated a couple times, never seemed too friendly to you. I always reached out to Trent to try to be friendly, even many years ago. Same. I'd
only seen one video with Trent and Laura, and they're talking about how they met and started dating, and I thought she seemed nice, and I sent Trent an email. I go, hey, your wife seems nice. Why don't you two come on and just do a Catholic couples podcast with us? And he said, kind of like, no, thanks. So imagine some woman, some dude's wife you've never met. I've never met her. I've debated Trent in person. I've been on streams with him, but I've never met Laura. Starts publicly mocking you and your family, not just your wife, but like your family of origin. Yeah. Imitating you. She dressed in like a pinwheel hat. And you're going to get the real insanity of this lady in her response earlier today. She says dressing up as people is crazy. This was her whole shtick. What the WTF? She said, you look like a weirdo if you dress up as people.
I think she in that statement was remarking about how we, and frankly, in just good jest back, after she'd been dressing like you for a year and making fun of our family and very, very personal things that we're not open for or should not ought to be open to. Public consumption and mockery, things that were quite personal to our family. She'd been doing this for a year and dressing up like Nick Fuentes and everybody else. And then in her response, she was saying, these people dressing up like my husband is just weird.
She's nuts. I mean, in my opinion, look, she dressed as me in a pinwheel hat, like I'm some sort of retard or something. She mocked in another video. She just couldn't. I think I was like the most common appearance in her stupid little unfunny videos. The Christian Patriarchy, I was at the door like a cardboard cutout of me. Again, I'd only offered to be nice to this lady. In another one, she spoofed the painful breakup of a publication deal involving my brother. You know, he got kind of
that was messed up.
That was nasty. That was nasty. She's bringing that up.
Making fun. By the way, to you and your brother, that was like offensive on both ends of that. I was like,
yeah, that was horrible.
A lot of people don't realize that video is like 2 years old. Like this wasn't this wasn't really talked about because, you know, nobody really cared too much. I don't think Nick knew about it, but Nick actually publicized, you know, a lot of her content recently, and people are going back and they're looking at it where she's dressing her husband up like a baby, where you're looking at a lot of these. It's this diminutive. I don't know what the word is, but this behavior towards her husband. And not only that, towards other people, like just launching attack after attack after attack. And, you know, it started out where everybody's thinking, okay, this is probably, you know, just in some good jest. We're just poking a little fun. We're just doing those things. But when you start bringing people's personal business into it, I mean, you know, it started out making fun of Nick Fuentes, and now we're like, I don't know, 8 videos in where Trent has like called him, you know, every slew of different things, a racist, an anti-Semite, a misogynist, blasphemous, like you
like a fishwife. She was on with some other guy's wife, with Matt Fradd's wife, suggesting publicly that my wife should disobey me. This is in recent posts, she mocked patriarchy. She's still in her today's post. She's still mocking patriarchy and denying that her testimony, which every single person heard, thought it meant something very grave. I mean, I think if you go back and listen to it, she says it. Look, this was very nearly a catastrophic situation. Now she's crying out as if people are misinterpreting her. I don't know what the point of her. You go ahead, Steph.
Should we read just quickly her statement? And just,
read it. Okay,
I'll read it for you guys. It says, and this was on her YouTube channel, which I think she hasn't been active on, but she posted this.
Before you say this,
okay.
The only interaction I'd ever had with this woman before she started mocking me, you, my little brother, suggesting funny, really unfunny, but nasty things about our marriage. The only interaction I'd ever had was a single email to Trent saying, "Your wife seems nice. Want to do a 2x2 stream?" This is probably 3-4 years ago. They declined, and then they later come at us, same as she came at Taylor Marshall. She came at Trent Horn. She came at Trent Horn in the worst way. She came at a bunch of priests. She came at Nick Fuentes. She came at probably 24 guys, 12 guys, and then didn't expect there to be any blowback.
Well, and everybody was quiet. Everybody was quiet about it. All these people were quiet about it for like a year or so.
Yeah, you're funny, Laura. And she did all of this in an attempt to sort of throw something back in Matt Fradd's face when he just expressed his opinion and every other man that women aren't funny. Women can't be stand-up comedians.
No.
And then she's like, I'm going to make this channel. And she proved his point. It's painfully unfunny. But when she's doing that, she's throwing all these other women's husbands under the bus and then expecting no blowback. It's like the worst form of petulant child. Listen to the insanity of what she's saying.
This is her statement. To be fair to her, I'll read it in full so that people at least hear what her rendition of events are. But she says, "Dear internet people, as you may remember, over a year ago, I quit YouTube because I said the longer people stay on without a proper prayer life, the weirder they get. In the past few days, I felt nothing but vindication. There are apparently rumors that I have almost cheated on Trent going around, spread by a man who is absolutely not even worth mentioning."
Can we pause? Did you watch the video, lady? Did you watch the video?
What the hell is she talking about? I know. I think she's just crazy.
I thought my impression, and I'm not saying this is true. I don't want to calumniate Laura or Trent or anything like that. So bear with me. This is just I thought she was having an emotional affair. That was what I thought.
I thought that was her testimony, right?
Yeah.
What was the? Go ahead.
I didn't understand the point of phrasing it as testimony if you weren't trying to say that this is behavior that should be warned against. So I understand if maybe she's saying like, "Oh, you misunderstood some of the facts," but I thought the very point of sharing the story on Fradd's channel was to say, "This is my testimony. Don't do as I do. This is what happened that was bad for me and my family." I thought the very nature of the story was intended to be negative as a warning to other people.
I think I have it here. Should we play it before we go on? Because I mean, other viewers might not have have heard that. I mean, can you reread that line, Steph, while I get this up?
She says, there are apparently rumors that I have, quote, almost cheated on Trent, end quote, going around, spread by a man who is absolutely not even worth mentioning. He is a total nobody to me, and I went to mass for his soul, and I sincerely pray that he repents. Making fun of my voice, which is bold coming from him, we have the same voice, and my laugh hold no power. The level of self-hatred people who love humor have far outweigh the level of hate this man could ever hate me. So I win that one.
I don't even know what she's talking about. Wait, hold on. Pause it there. Does anyone have this video up? I have the video of, here she is. This guy, Jordan, on Twitter says, Laura Horn, Trent Horn's mouthy wife, described in brutal detail how she almost cheated on Trent with a guy she met at work. So let's see if this guy's calumniating her. No, this is the actual thing.
Very slowly. It's not like you know, just, hey, so I got super close to a male coworker. Yeah. And I share this testimony, and we used to do like a marriage encounter weekend, and I shared this testimony, and I got too close to him. And you start, I wouldn't say developing feelings, and Trent knows all this stuff, but I think that's how affairs happen. They happen very slowly. It's not like
you've already admitted to the affair.
You know them. You know,
it's an emotional affair. That's an emotional affair. She literally just described what an emotional affair is and saying it wasn't one.
I hate to be gay lawyer guy, but I'm going to be gay lawyer guy now. That is an admission by a party opponent in evidence law. That is it right there. So now she's trying to say she's being calumniated. She says more, by the way. But now she said, I couldn't believe my eyes when I read her thing.
I thought that her response, by the way, like this is the absolute opposite that she should have done. She should have been like, hey, I've been out here making fun of people, even their personal family business, like you and I. And people made fun of us, like when we did the whole Jufro thing with Trent on Anthony Catholicism's channel, like just poking fun back. Now she's striking out she cries out when she strikes people. And, you know, if I were her, I would be like, okay, you got me back. You know what? You got me back. I've been making fun of people for a year.
What goes around comes around.
I peeked into your family issues. I made fun of you. I made comments about your marriage, all these sorts of things. And you know what? You guys got me back.
I made comments about, I made a joke out of your fucking feud with your little brother, your beloved little brother. I mean, like that's fair game. That was incredibly painful. And for him, for me, for Steph, for all involved. And she's making jokes about this. And guess what, Laura? I didn't publish that of myself. That was sleazy, fat JD Flynn who did that, peeked into our lives and made everyone look stupid. And then she's doing that. Okay, so now she's saying that we're lying about, I literally, whatever happened. I'm prepared to let her speak for herself. Here it is.
To their temperament, they see the best side of you.
She's talking about emotional affairs.
Trent was very uncomfortable with it, and I was like, well, we're just friends, but he's not a jealous person at all. So he was like,
can you pause it real quick?
Don't do anything.
Trent was very uncomfortable with it. That's what? Uncomfortable? It's like where you're like shifting, you know, he was kind of like shifting in his chair a little bit when I saw it. It's like, what are you talking about? My phone would be through a window.
Yeah, man. Oh,
what are you doing?
What?
No, seriously, like I'm not trying to chimp out on your stream, but like it is, though. It is that reaction. Like, and I feel for Trent when I hear this. I'm like,
so do I.
Like, but it's his fault. But it is his fault. But I still feel for him. I'm like, dude, I can't even imagine the rage that must have been bubbling through your body.
Remember, I don't know if you watched The Office. It's like that Office where Pam admits to Roy that she kissed Jim. And he's like, Roy's like a normal testosterone-filled guy. So maybe that kind of sets him apart from most of these Catholic guys in Laura's audience. But he like starts throwing shit around the bar, and because they're fiancés. And he said, like, look, I was a sleazy guy, I was a bad boyfriend, but I never cheated on you. You cheated on me. It's a vice in either case, but far less natural for the wife or the girl to do it. They don't have the libidinal drive, Amanda. So he goes nuts. He beats the hell out of a bar. He's throwing stuff. And then everyone in the rest of that episode and the next episode, this femme gynocentric perspective being pushed by the Office writers, they're like, oh, Roy was out of line. It's like, Pam was out of line.
Yeah.
Like, So yeah, I feel bad for Trent, but remember, because everyone's already done this, Fuentes and all the Kuipers played this 50,000 times, and that's fine. It's just because she this was an admission by a party opponent. We're only playing it to just show the audience members here today who maybe didn't hear her testimony originally. Like, I was, the last thing I would ever do is calumniate someone. That is automatic mortal sin. But I never said she had an affair. Some people, some of the Groypers and Fuentes' audience were saying, "Oh, she definitely had that affair, bro." And I'm like, no. I physically,
that's too much. That's too much.
It's too much. You don't know that it probably didn't happen. She's being honest thus far, so I trust her.
Well, and honestly, credit to her for backing off. That's good. That's good that you would do something like that. But like, again, I'm not going to be proud of you for doing what you're supposed to do. That's ridiculous. That's not an act of exceptional virtue. You shouldn't have been in that emotional state. You should have never even allowed yourself to even step into that. When that temptation arose, you should have backed away immediately. Before it could even turn into something like that. But again, like let's say she misspoke. Maybe she was saying, it wasn't an emotional affair, but what she described, whether she wants to call it an emotional affair or not, is what an emotional affair is. It is. That's just what it is. When you get too close to somebody and find some sort of comfort and entertain the notion that you have feelings for somebody. And it's the moment that you entertain that you leave temptation and enter sin. Yep. So like that's emotional adultery. I'm sorry, Laura, but like, that's what you said. You can't get mad at us. You can't accuse us of calumniating you, even if that's what you didn't mean, when all we have are your own words.
Right.
It's like, what do you expect from us? And more importantly, I can't believe that she went on record to defend herself and didn't have her husband go out and defend her.
These women,
oh my gosh,
no accountability.
That's exactly what I was going to say. There's absolutely zero accountability. The proper response is to be like, I apologize. I thought I was sharing something that might have been useful for Catholic wives. I realize now that I've completely embarrassed my husband. I really should not have been sharing this. I caused some scandal, and I'm sorry for what I've said and done. Have some accountability, but to go out there. And so I'll continue reading this statement to be fair to her, to give her just dessert or whatever, but not to go out there and say all those things. And there's like zero accountability to say, I apologize. I shouldn't say this. It's everybody else's fault is silly. It's so silly.
Yeah, read the rest of it. It's totally silly.
And again, if you guys want to stop me, go ahead and just say, hey, stop there, and I'll stop there. But
it's long though, so yeah.
Yeah. However, the continued calumny being spread by online Catholics, some of who I respected at one point or another,
of whom
is more the shocking thing to me. To the Catholics who represent this person or who have played into these completely false statements, the further you fall in love with this total online weirdo who has said outright blasphemous things, the darker your life is going to get. You are going to, if you're going to make a video commenting on any of this crazy drama or my past videos, at least make it funny. That I could respect. Wearing a random wig to look like Trent and talking bad about him isn't funny. It's weird. At least invite him to breakfast. We've done both of those things, by the way. We've invited them to do things that they declined.
Well, that was first.
And
everyone thought the Trent wig was hilarious. No one with testosterone, with human healthy male testosterone levels laughed at your videos. Sorry, Laura.
I'm formally inviting you, Tim, to put on a flannel, an open-faced flannel, put some baby powder on your face to make you as white as I am, and just start chimping out on stream and just make fun of it. I give you full permission. I'm gonna post it on my social media and laugh about it.
But the funny thing is, you've never done a Tim Gordon impression. I mean, if you do, that's fine. I don't care.
Come on the phone calls. I'm all over you.
Jay Dyer called me names, and I said that was kind of funny, and we became friends. That's what dudes do. Laura, you don't understand. Get out of the public space. But what she's saying is even weirder. She dressed up like me, then me and Steph dressed up like her husband, and she's like, that's weird. No one likes it. It was hilarious.
She dressed up like Nick Fuentes. She dressed up like, that was her entire thing. Yeah. That's what she did.
Is she not? Is she actually nuts? I don't know. But it goes her entire thing, and then she's saying it's weird to do that, just like she said she had what everyone else 100% of her listeners thought was, I'm admitting testimony to an emotional affair. And then everyone was like, oh, that's really bad. And everyone commented on the emotional affair, and she says she's being lied about.
And furthermore, it wasn't even
Unreal.
just her making like little, like, 'cause I know some people who like her content or enjoyed those videos. Like, they were silly, Tim. They were just in good jest. It wasn't just that. The truth of the matter is, like you've already talked about, it wasn't just her dressing up like you, like she's saying is weird to do. We were doing that as a joke back to her. But she really was getting into some things that were very personal for our family, that were exceedingly painful. I would never make a joke about like somebody's private life that they didn't even want to be out in public. The fact that you were having issues with your brother, she's making fun of the fact that my book was being charged with plagiarism, which I was vindicated on, by the way.
Falsely charged with plagiarism. Yeah, she's making fun of that. Also, she's admonishing other wives to mortal, or you, I guess, specifically, Steph, to mortal sin. She's still got that sticking point. I've quoted scripture to her husband and 3 20th century popes saying it is a mortal sin for a wife to disobey her husband in anything but him telling her to do a mortal sin. Scripture says it in 2 places. 3 20th century popes have said it. And listen to what she says on Matt Fradd.
Why wouldn't you want that?
But do you think Stephanie Gordon feels comfortable standing up to Tim Gordon? You don't have to answer that.
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't have to answer that. I'm posing a rhetorical question. Rhetorical meaning it bespeaks something that an interrogative wouldn't, about she should disobey him. And that's a mortal sin.
Well, she mentions that further in the letter. Do you want me to, in her statement? So she goes on and she says, this is her statement continuing on. She said, almost a decade ago, I had a male coworker I had to tell to stop texting me. This is literally all there was. Was I ever alone with this man? No. Did I ever say or do anything inappropriate? No. I shared this on Pints. It was a section complimenting trad women. By now, I should learn that these people are like Voldemort. You cannot say their names. I love Trent with my entire heart. And in all marriages, boundaries have to be set. The problem with the mad trad, not to be confused with glad trad community, is you lack joy. Trent and I give each other crap all the time. So does every married couple I know who likes being married and has fun with their spouse. Get offline, go touch grass, and please, please, please go to confession. That's the they're still trying to give people advice.
They're still trying. People don't want to be like you and your husband. Yeah. Okay, no one does. I don't know. You could say it's online. By the way, like Fuentes said, this was actually hilarious, Joe. Her husband's entire career is online. So is mine. All of her stupid, unfunny feminist videos were online. Like, all of us do stuff online. So why call it chronically online or whatever the stupid expression is? None of us have shows on Fox News, lady. What the hell are you talking about? And also, note what she does, the bait and switch. This is, you need to go to confession, Laura. In her testimony, we need to play the longer thing. She says that it was her being inappropriate, and she wasn't even sure. I'm going to play the damn thing. She wasn't even sure if the guy was being inappropriate. Note how she completely flipped it. Now that she's caught a little bit of heat, it's not just a bunch of cucks in her testimony women's group. Now she's saying the guy was being inappropriate. That's the exact opposite of what she shared on Pints. What she shared on Pints was, well, let's go to
testimony. And
I shared this testimony
with me doing that, and I was like, absolutely not. I would burn her house down. That's how I would handle that.
What she just said was, if Trent did what she was doing, if Trent did with another one what she was doing, she would burn the woman's house down. That's an admission of guilt. So she just lied in her letter. Here's the big lie about who was really at fault, her or her work associate. Here's her saying it was probably more her. This is how I took it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just quoting her to her.
She'd be gone. But so I was like, okay. So I did have to set like a standard, like I can't talk to you one-on-one anymore. And it's so hard because you don't want to, like, when you do that.
She just said, in her letter, one-on-one. Can you read that part? She said, I was never with him one-on-one. We never had one-on-one what? Was
I ever alone with this man? No.
What? Okay. Sounds like a contradiction.
Well, how does it go to any, did she say any more?
Yeah, anymore. She said,
what anymore? That assumes past. It just,
It's a counterfactual. Yeah, wait, hold on. I want to play the rest.
That actually, I didn't notice that. That's a good catch.
Oh, I'm all over catching this stuff. I'll play it again and I'll let it go.
But yeah, so I was like, okay. So I did have to set like a standard, like I can't talk to you one-on-one anymore.
She says it.
When you do that, you
listen to this anymore.
You're kind of making an assumption about the other person that they're attracted to you. So it comes off very awkward. Like, like I can't talk to you anymore. And they're like, you're just my friend and I'm not into you that way. You know what I mean? So, but so you're like, well, I misread this. And so, but I didn't misread it. And so, but
I didn't misread it.
But I didn't misread it. A lot of the Groypers were making a lot out of that. I don't think that meant that it went further than an emotional affair. But the reason I'm calling this back up from the annals of I guess Matt Frad history is because in her statement, the 2 lines above what you just read, Steph, she was saying this is all this guy's fault. And she's like, no, I'm the one having to sort of recuse myself. And you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. You probably are just being casual and I'm the one probably making too much of it. So it's embarrassing for me. That's what she just said there.
Right.
That's okay.
So, do you want me to continue on with this? Okay. So she said, please, please, please go to confession. Is my voice high pitched? And do I laugh a lot? Yeah, sure. But I was also nervous as all heck to be online being watched by over 100,000 people. Also, if you have an issue with my voice, take it up with God. He gave it to me. As Elle Woods would say, if you came to a party, I would at least be nice to you. Also, to all those who've committed sins they are not proud of, do not listen to these losers. God loves you. Well, that's the thing. It's like, well, was it a sin or not, Laura? Like, this is what people want to hear from you. If you're like a Catholic wife and mother out here talking, then just be like, I made a mistake. I haven't heard this like once.
Did she? This is the whole point. Did she make a mistake? Are you an exemplar? Should people do what you've ever done? I've never gotten too close with a woman at work. My wife doesn't work. Joe, have you ever gotten too close with a woman at work?
I don't work with women.
I don't want to, but I've worked with women and I refused to. I guarded myself. Yeah. Now, almost 9 out of 10 affairs take place in the workplace. 1 in 5 workers who are married say they've had an affair in the workplace. So it's a nasty thing. But I always knew, because maybe people are maybe you're not the exemplar, Laura. Maybe people are more cautious about what really matters than you, evidently. I was always like, I don't like having all these chicks around. This is why one of the reasons I hate it the most. I'm forced away from my wife for 40 to 60 hours a week, depending on the various jobs I've had. I hate that because I love Steph. I want to be around her and my kids, but I'm away from them and I'm forced into working with women, having women bosses, having women mentors where you have to shadow them to learn a job at various internships. I always hated that. And I always was like this, no, we're not doing this. No takeout tonight. The bosses try to almost force you into it. It's very dangerous. This is why women shouldn't be in the workforce. This is why the Council of Trent promulgated a catechism that Trent Horn laughed at, and evidently Laura Horn's still laughing at, that says women should not go out of the home without their husband's permission, only for grave matter. That definitely includes working. So I don't know. Does she say more?
Let me, if you don't mind, I'll finish her statement because I do feel like it's fair to her to do that. Yeah. She says, don't listen to the losers, meaning about your personal sins. God loves you. He saves us from our sins. While I didn't ever commit a sin with another man, this is because God loves me so much. He continues to protect my marriage every single day, despite my human nature. This is God saving me. So when you go after me, you go after the grace he has given me. I genuinely have prayed for every single person who has hated me or Trent or every other Catholic trying to get their very best to share the gospel. This is silly because, or not, it's not silly. I understand this because Laura, this is how I felt about you when you were making fun of our family and we were quiet and you were making fun of my brother-in-law and my husband for a year. Fun, cute jokes about us being like misogynists or whatever aside, that's fair game. But when you went into our personal lives and made jokes on your platform that had no business being on your platform, I understand exactly what you're talking about. I went to mass for you as well. I prayed for you as well. And I still do. So I get it. Believe me, I do.
Yeah, but
can I just go on record and said I committed no sin? Actually, you did. If what you describe is true, that is. If what you described on Pints with Aquinas is what transpired, as you said. If you
right,
we already know that like the anymore, that's an inconsistent. Maybe she misspoke. I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever happens. The description of events that you provided, if true, is sinful. And because that you are publicly you have publicly stated that you did this, you have now publicly denied any accountability for the sin. I, as a Catholic, now have the duty to publicly rebuke you for that sin. So put it on record, post it on the internet, Laura Horn. I am rebuking you of your sin, and your husband should be rebuking you of your sin. I shouldn't have to say anything about it. And
the sin you're not talking about, Joe, is some speculative thing beyond what she said on Pints with Aquinas. You're not saying she.
No, what she admitted to is the definition of an emotional affair, where she was starting to have some sort of emotional affection towards another man that she willfully entertained and then backed off of later.
Before it became physical or something.
Before it went too far. That is sinful. If she said that it would be one thing if the thought of an emotional attachment went into her head and she's like, no, and rejected it immediately and said that. That's not what she said.
That's not what she said.
The moment it went beyond that moment, you have committed a sin. You've committed a sin. And that's it. Like she says, you've committed no sins. Yes, you have. You go to confession, Laura.
Right.
You go to confession. And not only you go to confession. And
right?
What?
Unless she was lying on Pints with Aquinas.
And that's the thing. Like, and okay, go to confession for that then. Because you scandalized a lot of Catholics. So it doesn't matter. No matter what you do, you need to be going to confession.
And the whole big point, the reason Steph and I have stock in this is because Trent and Laura, from 6 years ago when I debated Trent, have mocked the popes, the catechism, the scriptures that say women have to stay home and obey their husbands in all things. Stay home, ask your husbands quietly at home. I'm just quoting scripture. I'm quoting catechism. I'm quoting Pius 10, 11, 12. They said no recent popes. They just mocked and lied about what the Catholic teaching is, the very, very clear Catholic teaching. And Trent, according to my memory, I think this emotional affair, whatever you want to call it, that she reported on Pints with Aquinas, happened before fall of 2019, because I assumed, since Trent was a feminist and was taking the pro-feminism position in our debate when we debated in fall of 2019, that he had a working wife. But he said, no, my wife used to work. She got out of the job because it wasn't good for us. And I was like, so why are you telling Catholics that it might be good for them? I didn't know this story then. If this is one of the things that motivated her out of the workforce, extra, why in the hell are you not using your testimony? It could actually be used for good, Trent and Laura. You could actually use all this embarrassment and mortification towards something holy. Don't say, hey, maybe a working wife is good for you. It's bad for everyone. Nearly 9 out of 10 acts of adultery happen in the workplace.
Well, I thought that's what the whole point of the testimony was to say that this wasn't good. And now when people are like, this doesn't sound good, now it's like, now everybody else is a jerk. Like if I'm sharing testimony for my own, like for example, me getting off Twitter because I was a loudmouth on Twitter, and people, if they say like find screenshots of me being a loudmouth on Twitter when I had the Ask Your Husband account, I'm going to be like, yeah, that exactly. That's what I was doing. That's a great example of me being a loudmouth on Twitter.
Steph is a rare woman. She has accountability. She doesn't always have plausible deniability. She's like, I'm going to get off Twitter because I'm being an annoying loudmouth.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said to you. I was like, I think I'm annoying. And I need to get off.
You caught it before I did. I was like, you're right. You are being annoying. It was usually just defending me when people would say nasty things about me online.
Yeah, but
I'm like, it's still annoying. It's still not your place. Thank you for trying. But yeah, thanks for catching yourself.
Let me throw myself under a bus for a second. It was specifically what I was doing. I was going after men, which you never should be doing. And I was using language I shouldn't have been using in defense of you. And I was just allowing my passions and my anger, like women do in the Bible, by the way, and gets them into trouble, allowed me to get into trouble. And so when people, would send like, oh, Steph said this thing, and I'm like, yeah, embarrassing. It's an embarrassing thing. It's a failure on my end. I should never have been on there. And so if somebody was like, Steph's the loudmouth on Twitter, I'm like, yes, exactly. Thank you for calling me out on that. And it's true. And that's why I'm off. And that's really what I would have liked to have seen. But since women struggle with accountability and they're the victim in every situation, even situations that they perpetuate, right? Nobody was going into their closets and getting this information. This was out in public.
Self-report.
This is self-reportage. And so when people were just rightly taking the exact right point of view off of this, and they were saying, well, wait a second, this is incredibly disrespectful to your husband, and you really shouldn't be airing this in public. And it sounds your entire way of thinking about it is still a little bit skewed, and people were just pointing this out instead of her coming out and being like, yes, you know what, I was using this as testimony to warn women against acting this way. I stand by that. I really shouldn't have even shared this story. I think wives should respect their husband. Boom, end of story, and then didn't have to write this entire long
screed.
Do you want me to finish this real quick, by the way? Okay. She says,
I thought it was over already. Damn.
Yeah, just 2 more
It's
paragraphs.
so
If you, so at the end of the day, please know I forgive you. I forgive people like Pearl, who was 100% mad she got totally cooked by Trent and couldn't even define marriage in her debate. I would never give her the pleasure of a view, so I have no idea what she said about me. If she'd ever like to have a conversation with me, she can fill out Trent's contact form, and I'd love to tell her my thoughts on what she does.
Wait. Is that all we had to do to get him to debate, Tim? Do we just have to go fill out his contact form? Is that what it is?
Well,
How long have we been challenging this guy to come and debate people, dude? I've been telling Trent for the longest time, and this is probably I can't. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to gossip. I don't want to be gossipy, but it could be. Trent is a coward. He's a weak man, and I've been telling him for the longest time that you should debate Tim on this subject. You should debate Pine Sap on this subject. You should debate Nick Fuentes on this subject. I've been telling him that you should debate all these people. And you know what his attitude is towards it?
Yeah,
it could be JQ. It could be feminism in your case, whichever. But it was JQ in this case. And I'm like, okay, why don't you debate these people? And it's like, there's nothing to debate. I was like, what am I talking to my mother right now? Like, there's nothing to debate. What are you putting your foot down in front of me, dude? I will bulldoze you.
I disagree with you about something. There's something to debate.
There's a clarification that's beneficial to the faithful on the internet right now, and you are refusing to partake in the dialogue necessary to come to the truth.
Another person that Trent and Laura borderline defamed was our friends Andrew and Rachel Wilson. Rachel, when all this was happening late or early last week, Rachel was like, now we know why Trent Horn publicly lashed out at me and Pearl for being toxic anti-feminist. And me and Steph were getting subtweeted as hell in that video he made. People have forgotten about that. What is toxic anti-feminism? His wife, Rachel says, should receive corrective punishment for publicly humiliating and mentally cheating on him. She's being precise there. But he probably did extra chores to praise her for this. Shameful. Sorry, you're both getting scorched by Rachel.
Because both of them refuse to just come out and be like, we're not the authority on this issue. We're sorry that we caused this scandal. Trent needs to stick with what he does really well, the Catholic apologetics, debating Protestants.
Debate James White for the 435th time.
So we just said that in chat. And Laura, just be a wife. Love your husband. Respect your husband at home. You know what? If you feel bad about all this, then we don't all even necessarily need to hear about it. Just go love your husband and treat him like you're his number one fan. That'll be enough for everybody. But you want me to finish this real quick?
Sorry.
Okay. She said, lastly, I do not have a social media besides YouTube, so I was unaware of all of this was going on.
Nonsense.
I'm sure Catholic Answers was.
She already. She must have misspoke or lied one other time before, but like, okay, I don't believe. I just don't.
I don't believe it
because Catholic Answers blocked Tim pretty recently when this happened. So come on, this goes to show social media is not real life. My life remained the same, caring for my sweet children and dear husband, while a ton of mentally ill weirdos were trying to spiritually attack our family. I take great comfort in the words of St. Paul, quote, people will be self-centered and lovers of money, haughty, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful. For some slip into homes and make captives of women weighed down by their sins and various desires, always trying to learn and never able to reach a knowledge of truth. Their foolishness will be plain to all, end quote. And a new quote, and quote, at my first defense, no one appeared on my behalf, but everyone deserted me. Let that not be held against them. The Lord stood by me and gave me strength, end quote. Happy Lent to all. Ironically, if I ever do come back online, you can blame those crazy people for making me miss when there was at least some type of joy on the internet. Now go raise your families and say a prayer for ours. Can I say too?
That's a request. How about a plea?
Again, there's not an apology in any of this. She's doing what she says.
I feel like she thinks she owes Trent nothing. I really do. I feel like that's the recurring theme throughout this. I didn't think Tim, I did not think that this was going to be a defending Trent Horn video, but it's like, dude, like you are owed probably about just in that tweet, forget the videos, you're owed about like 10, 15 apologies for different things in there.
Yeah.
You know, man, like she's not sorry for anything.
She's a woman that doesn't respect men, and she doesn't respect her man. And like Father Chad Ripperger says in our movie, What a Woman Is, this is the most grave thing. Like women, Sarah called no one Lord but God and her husband. And you can just tell with these mouthy women, Steph, I know you have something to say here. They just don't respect men. And that's the most feminist thing about them. Not that they think women are funny or that the women should be talking or working or chiding men, but all those things point us to the bigger idea that they just don't respect men. And women were made for men, not men for women. That's a fact.
Just I'd just like to jump in real quick on what you were saying. The mouthiness, the loudness, the over expressive is an extension of Trent's weakness. It's just manifesting differently. And that's one of the things that I think people need to realize is that when what we see with their relationship is because Trent is weak, his wife, and I mean this, his wife is craving someone to slap her down when she acts the way that she does, when she gets loud, when she wants. Did you see the video of her like jovially punching him? She was punching him hard. Really, really hard. She wants him to just grab her hand. That's she craves that. You can see it in her nonverbal communication. And it's because Trent needs to step up. And brother, he is my brother. I don't think he's a converso, guys. I don't think he's a converso. I've been on record. He is a baptized, confirmed Catholic, in my opinion. He is my brother in Christ. And you know what? Trent, man, don't ever let her hit you like that again.
Or throw a Twinkie or whatever the hell that was. That
was hard, man. She's wailing on him. And I agree with what you just said. It's an extension of his weakness. That's what the spirit of Lilith that exists in Laura Horn is. I'm not saying that she is that. I'm saying that spirit definitely does exist in a lot of her actions. It really exists in that apology that she put out. So So it's like, Trent, you gotta man up, brother. You gotta man up.
She even mentions in the comments, because somebody sent this to us. I thought, Tim, you might be interested in this. Somebody brought up the fact that, they're just making the point that you went after Steph Gordon in that podcast. He said, when you commented that Steph couldn't even speak up to Timothy. I'm not trying to judge the content of the words myself, but someone said that about my wife, even if it was meant in a different way from their perspective, both I and my wife would tear into them. And then she wrote back to them. She said, I asked how she, meaning me, Stephanie Gordon, sticks up to him over a disagreement. Like,
you're not allowed to.
Like, gives her opinion, is what she said. She's like gives her opinion. After that family, she said, after that family, meaning us, I guess, wrote a book saying man's word goes no matter what, except for mortal sin. That's just scripture, darling child.
Sweetheart. Hey, Toots. That's scripture. That a woman has to obey a man in all things. It's scripture quoted in the Roman Catechism. It's scripture quoted by Popes Pius XI and Pius X. It's scripture quoted by Benedict XV. Women created as man's companion must so remain always under his power. That's Pius X. Here's Benedict XV. Cultured women have lost their sense of shame along with their piety. Many, in order to take up tasks ill-befitting their sex, took to imitating men. Here's Pius XI. Where does he say it?
While you're finding that, she did finish the sentence, and she said, after Matt called her, meaning me, a prophet, and I said, gotta give it to Stephanie Gordon. Thanks for the prayers, and please pray for peace in Catholics. So she was making a point there that, hey, she's, I guess, allowed to insult me so long as there's like a compliment like somewhere bookending the said insult. So like you could say nice things about somebody, and then you could say, but does Stephanie Gordon stand up to Tim Gordon? You don't have to answer here. Meaning, like, even that whole sentence, like, does, first off, presuming that I should be standing up to you is an insult to Catholic marriage. Secondly, you don't have to answer here tells me a lot about what's going on behind the scenes there, and what she was expecting the answer would be. And the fact that she was like, you don't have to answer here, meaning, what if Matt had wanted to say something to stick up for us because he kind of knows us a little bit? You know what I mean?
Trying to run the show.
I am glad that he said, I don't want to talk about their marriage. I think that was an appropriate way of kind of like kicking that whole ridiculous nonsense that she was trying to pull to the curb. But again, it's like this whole thing, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but it's like the whole apology or statement, there's no women have a problem with accountability.
It's apologia. It's not apology.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's not. I'm not kidding. There is not a single apology in there. In fact, it's more of a demand letter. It's a demand for an apology from on behalf of the people that rightly with moral certainty, I would say, judged her actions.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not? So I don't want to. And again, I don't like when people make fun of their marriage itself, because I think that their marriage is sacred, and profaning the sacred is blasphemy. I don't know what else to say. And so like that type of stuff shouldn't necessarily, making fun of their marriage itself, making fun of the dynamic of their relationship is definitely on board. I think that making fun of making fun of the terrible behavior that she's been engaging in. I hope that she takes it to heart and realizes that maybe she needs to make a change in the way that she treats her husband, because it's so far out of bounds.
Yeah, and privately, that's what I'll pray for them, that Laura learns how to treat her husband respectfully, and that publicly, if they're going to bear witness, they'll only start bearing witness again once she learns to do that, because then it can maybe help Catholics. Hey, I used to be a really disrespectful wife that said some really embarrassing things publicly, and then I turned and played the victim. I'm not going to do that anymore. I take accountability. That's what I'll pray for them. But I will not. I'll always tender an apology to whomever I owe it. Joe, I can't remember. I think you and I have tendered apologies crosswise.
Very much so.
But I mean, there's no. I haven't said anything. I like Joe Enders said, I don't think Trent's a converso. I think he's a sincere Catholic. That's sinful to start getting into that. It's also sinful to start speculating against her own words about it went beyond an emotional affair into a physical affair. I don't believe that. I haven't said any of that. So therefore, I don't tender an apology. I find her a shrill, annoying, bossy, feminist woman who's a bad example for Catholic women. But I'm just taking her at her own word when I say that. I pray maybe she can turn the corner, like so many young women that Steph has urged to ask their husbands silently at home, that she's coached, and turn a corner. Like so many of these young women have really reached out to Steph, and she's helped greatly. It would be great because Laura is a younger woman than Steph, and she has a lot of wisdom to learn. There's much she doesn't know, and yet she seems to have a spirit of haughtiness where she seems to think she knows and never has to apologize.
I think it's by virtue of who her husband is. I think that she tries to piggyback off of that and think that because there was a time, I will say, because that time has long passed in recent months, where Trent Horn was viewed as a pretty strong authority on Catholic apologetics. That time has ended. It's over. And she's like deferring to her husband that she doesn't even respect. And frankly, it's so disordered, because it goes back to, just kind of put a button on top of everything that we've talked about here. It goes back to the, women will pretend that they're powerful. They'll LARP as the powerful under the protection of men. So what she's basically doing, when she gets all haughty like that, is running behind her husband's credibility, which has been eroded. And cowering and hiding. And frankly, like, you're not an apologist. You're not Trent. You don't know nearly as much about Catholicism as Trent does, much less Tim or I. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And she owes Tim and she owes Tim an apology. She owes Steph an apology. They haven't really done anything to me. They don't owe me anything, but they owe Nick,
even Dave Gordon.
They owe Dave Gordon an apology. They owe Nick Fuentes an apology. Like
Taylor Marshall, I think Father Dave. Now, all these people were like
just apologize. All I can do is just apologize. Like this is the problem. Like there was the video like airing out dirty laundry between you and your brother is literally it's a documented sin called detraction. I'm sorry, like that's what it is. You engaging in detraction. And not only did you engage in a detraction, you took an existing detraction and chose to spread that detraction after the fact. Laugh
at it and laugh.
Right, and mock it. So it's not right. And if you guys don't know what detraction is when every Catholic has a right to a good name, basically. And when you commit detraction, you take that away from somebody when it and publicize it needlessly.
The publication, the public, what is it? Publicly spreading private facts.
Right.
That's it. So
that's a better definition.
And people are probably in the chat going, well, isn't that what you're doing here? No. The facts. I mean, literally the facts.
It's public.
When someone makes their own dirty laundry public, people can comment on it. That doesn't violate the law. New York Times versus Sullivan doesn't violate the Catholic tradition on detraction. It's the facts themselves, even if they're true and they're ugly. If no one else knows them, it's a sin to air them out. It's one of those sins you got to be really careful of, because you normally think, well, it's true. I'm not calumniating them. Calumniating someone involves false facts.
And I think that was the point that you were making about what she was doing to us, which is really, like, let me just be honest, that's why we're responding right now, because it's just a bit too much. It's too much to handle, like seeing her response, playing the victim over comments that she made public when she made a laughing stock of our private affairs that were, I'll be honest with you, because I love my brother-in-law and I miss him dearly. Like, I was unjustly accused of something that really tore our family apart, and it was exceedingly painful and still is. And for fellow Catholics to make light of that sort of situation that we never wanted public, by the way, we tried to handle our family business behind the scenes, and we were unsuccessful because JD Flynn wanted to make some big JD Flynn wanted to make some big scandalous stupid article about it, so we had to publicly respond. So really, Laura, if you want to know the truth of it, I've been forgiving you for the past several years over that. I had a very difficult pregnancy, not to get into the boohoo story, but it was a medical problem for me, that the amount of stress that whole situation put on me as an oldster woman having a pregnancy, and for her to be making jokes about our family situations and stuff. Like, I do forgive. I forgive too, but don't pretend that you're free of what you're claiming other people are doing to you, because you're not.
Yeah, don't make yourself hard to forgive, Laura. Don't make yourself a hard person to forgive. I mean, it's that simple. And Trent, tell her to go make you a sandwich.
Let's end it there. I don't think we're going to do better than that.
No.
Joe, your commentary's incisive. I enjoy having you on. We'll bring you on again soon, because you have a different voice. I really do like your voice. So over at Red Top Report, you give this kind of commentary. People, go check that out. You want to call out at Red Top Report on YouTube, Joe Enders?
Yeah. Just throw it in the search bar, Red Top Report on YouTube. You can come check us out. You can follow us on Instagram. If you really want to get most of the content that I've been doing recently, I've been doing a lot of growth on X, focusing on my X account lately. So you can follow me at JENDERSII, at JENDERSII.
All right, very good. God bless you all. We will be back with more quality content, rules for retrogrades for the parish orphans later this week. God bless you all. God bless you, Joe Enders. Steph, nice hat.
God bless you guys.
Des Volt.